All right. Everything on there is rolling. All right, I gotta get started. It is past 6:30, so get to your spot. Yeah, class has started. Whatever it is you're doing. Okay, so if you haven't signed up for camp, the sign-up sheet is back there on the wall. I know you probably were given a permission slip. If you were given one, you still need to sign up. That way, I know for sure you're going and to get your spot. The other deal is, if you sign up for going and you don't show up, I have to still pay a withdrawal fee. So make sure if you sign up, you are going. So if you need information on camp, I have them right there in an envelope. I think that's all about camp. We reserved 30 spots because there were several people took letters. Kathy's got several that are wanting to go. This Sunday I'm going to try and guilt trip some adults into going because we need help. We have a lot of people, or a lot of, man, that echoes, that are stepping up. So, or some kids that are going up in from the middle school age. So if you are going, we may have to, I don't know what we're going to have to do, but I've got to try and talk some adults into going and helping because Kathy needs more help than anything. And then I'm the only guy that goes, adult leader, and so I have to make sure all the little niños behave in the cabin as well, which usually I do not have a problem with because everybody here pretty well understands my rules that we don't act like an idiot at bedtime. And everybody knows that's in the boys' cabin that I police that cabin. I will actually get onto other people's kids as well. Because our first year at camp was, I'm going to take that bottle. Is it empty? Yes. Yeah, throw it away. It's no good. It's empty. It's like the tomb. Just get rid of it. Hey, there's Hopalong. How is your foot/leg? It's broken. I will move a chair. We'll make it handicap accessible. I've never broke an ankle. I dislocated a kneecap once. That was. Yeah. Check mark. Bucket list. Yeah. I've had both shoulders replaced, so that's fun too. It's fun being hobbled where you can't move around, right? No, it's not. But you can sit back and you have a lot of spare time on your hands. And then you have all these great people that are surrounding you and being a part of your life, right? Yes. See, it all works out. I did all my injuries later in life out of school, and I was at home alone, so it was sad. The only thing to do was watch Oprah, and I wasn't doing that. So, yeah, I know it's pathetic. Anyway, for those of you who just walked in, camp sign-up sheets back there in the back. If you're going to camp, I need you to sign up. That way I know how many, if we need to mark off more spots for it. Sunday, I've had a ton of people asking me if the FCA deal Sunday nights for everybody, any youth group, and I tell them all yes. Probably both. Yeah. I know quite a few have reached out to me posting the flyer on there. They've reached out that they want to come, but some of them were sending me private messages thinking it was just us. Like, no, it's a revival. It's for everybody. So anyway, I am not driving a van to that because I have to be there early to get, because they're using some of our sound stuff and everything, so I'm going to help get that all set up and everything. So most of you drive, yes. 6:30. Probably. Yeah, we're going to be there right after church on Sunday. Am I having them wear certain shirts? I hadn't thought about it, but I have a lot on my mind. So if you want to wear your Mission Youth shirt, you can. If you don't have one, I will get you one from back there. What's from 6:30 to 8, right? Yeah. So I would love to be able to drive the bus, but I have so many responsibilities afterwards and before that it's not possible. So most of you drive. If somebody needs a ride, be a bro or a, what would we call a girl? A sis? I don't want to call you a chick, because if If somebody calls you a chick, do you find that demeaning? I want to say like proper terminology. I don't want to offend anyone because we live in the offended generation, so I don't want to offend anybody, period. So, anyway, I can't think of anything else, and my wife has left. So, who wants this thing? Anybody? I almost threw it to you because you said let me. How have you seen God show up and advance the gospel in your life this week?
So I've been sitting with some new people at lunch, and we've had some really big discussions lately about the gospel and just trying to get more, help them have a better understanding of who God really is and like why Jesus did what he did. And yeah, it was really good.
Good. Good. Awesome.
Laura, thank you for doing talk to people and just that outreach. Lord, I pray that you encourage her to continue to talk about you throughout her day and that she'll be able to reach new people as she goes out.
Amen.
I talked to a single 83-year-old woman last night on Facebook, and she was a saved Christian, but it was just so cool to like talk to her and just like hear about her faith and like her asking questions and like what I believe, because she was like, please teach me, so we had to make sure like you actually figured it out.
I like what you said when you said she was a saved Christian, because that means then you asked her if she knew him personally. Because we ask people, hey, are you a Christian? They say yes. Well, what does that mean? To some people, it means I'm just a good person. I've never killed anybody or stole their dog. So, yeah.
Like, she talked about how she was going to see her husband there and one day and stuff like that. So it was
Okay.
really sweet.
Awesome. No, you didn't.
Lord, thank you so much for giving Sam the opportunity to talk to this woman, and please let her walk with you and just continue to grow. And
Amen.
I actually had someone about the conversation when I was doing my long jump at my tracking yesterday. It all got started because we didn't understand metric system very well. We were comparing like yards to meters,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, yeah, like talking about how she was like carrying 60 yards. I was like, I think about it on a track, and I don't know how much it was.
Yeah, awesome. That's 3. 2 more? Sure, we can find 2 more people. How you saw God just show up this week. You haven't cruised through all the way through Sunday to now with nothing happening. Be the first night in history I haven't had 5. Let's take 5 for the gospel. That's what it says up there. Did you want to? Okay. Look, I just right by your head. I'm a sniper. It's awesome.
Heavenly Father God, I thank you for Callie and her willingness to just help person out with the meters and metrics and all this other stuff, God. And just thank you for allowing that to keep having a gospel conversation and help her to be physical in every other situation that she's in. And everything in it.
Amen.
I finally forgave someone after being really bitter about it for a really long time.
Thank you. I accept your forgiveness.
I'm not bitter towards you. So you haven't forgiven me yet. You're like number 10.
Okay. Awesome.
I'm kidding.
Top 10.
It was I have a list. No, but it was a really nice conversation, and then after that, I blocked him because I knew if I kept having a conversation, I would be unforgivable.
Right. You got to know your limitations.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay, we need one more to make 5.
Yeah.
We'll draw names first.
Well, I don't want anything to be fake. I want it to be real. Amen. So God has come through with your intellectualness or your drive to study? A little bit of both? Okay, I'll take that. All right, you guys ready to get started? Okay, Father, we thank you for this night. We thank you for all these conversations, God. We thank you for you coming through just the only way that you can do it, Father. So Be with us tonight as we get ready to worship, as we are waiting on the little niños to get here, Father. So be with us tonight as we worship you in song, but also in your word. I ask that every student's heart tonight receives your message, not from my mouth, but from your mouth with fire, Father. So we are, sometimes scares me to call down from fire from heaven because I don't want to get that hot. But I want your spirit to burn tonight in our hearts and in everyone here tonight. God, you've created just a night that only you can create, and just help us to realize it is your creation, not ours. So be with those who are being in the worship music, and Father, just take control of my mouth and my heart and mind. Put me behind and you forward. And for all those who aren't here tonight that are on, some that are gone to trips, Father, I ask you to be with them, keep them safe. For those who are chasing the ball, Father, I ask that you be with them and help them just to stop and think about you. For without you, we can't do any of these extra activities outside of church. So we ask it all in Jesus' name. Amen. I don't know whether to wait on them or what. They are coming, correct? No.
Straight up.
What? I legit just turned it up on the TV. Oh, well, where's the volume then for the Bluetooth? Huh?
Said you don't need that.
Okay. Is it on?
That sucks when that happens.
Huh?
So that sucks when that happens.
I mean, yeah, I can hear it, but it's not like loud. Stupid bass drum. Okay. Sorry. Lord, please be with the bass drum. Are you ready? Yes, born ready, right? I was buried beneath my shame. Carry that kind away. It was my turn waiting for her to. There you go. Yeah.
Yes.
Remember, turn down too quiet.
In the darkness we were waiting, without hope, without light, till from heaven you came running. There was mercy in your eyes to fulfill the law and prophets. To a virgin came the word, from a throne of endless glory to a cradle in the dirt. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. To reveal the kingdom coming and to reconcile the lost, to redeem the whole creation. You did not despise the cross, for even in your suffering you saw to the other side, knowing this was our salvation. Jesus, for our sake you died. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. And the morning that you rose, all of heaven held its breath, till that stone was moved for good, for the Lamb had conquered death. And the dead rose from their tombs, and the angels stood in awe, for the souls of all who'd come to the Father are restored. And the church of Christ was born, then the Spirit lit the flame. Now this gospel truth of old shall not kneel, shall not faint. By his blood and in his name, in his freedom I am free. For the love of Jesus Christ, who has resurrected me. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. Praise forever to the King of Kings.
Yes, you all can have a seat.
Do you want me to take the clicker, or are you going to try and click it? You don't want the clicker? Nobody ever wants to click it. No, it's up to you if you want to try. You cannot make a mistake clicking. You can't make a mistake. No, I would say something like, "Give me my next slide," when I wanted you to change. Will that work for you? Yes. You can do it. Everybody has faith in Natalie, right? Yeah! Unless somebody else wanted to do it. How many of you are scared to death of the clicker? Why? Okay. Why would you be scared to run the clicker? Yeah, because when you're in the sound booth, you can see all of them on the screen, but you can't see them if I'm up here. I would give you here. Let's just make it this easy. How many days until school's out? 29 days. This school days. The seniors are in the room, know exactly how many days are left. How many days until prom? Is everybody excited about prom? Anybody not excited about prom? Okay. Woo! No desire to go to prom. Oh, look, there you go. There they are, right there. That way you'll know. Okay, it's okay. Just trying to make it easy for you. Just trying to make it easy for you. That's very helpful. So, is Southwest having their prom at the school this year? At Roaring River at the resort? At the lodge. Yeah, the lodge. Where's Cassville have theirs? Where? Oh, out on 76. Towards Shell Knob. Where they have lots of weddings. I feel like asking when the end of school wasn't as stressful as asking about prom, because prom seems to be like really stressful to talk about. Okay. Well, does anybody know what tonight's message is titled? This is my thornbush. Yes. How many of you own a thornbush at home? Do you have roses at home or thorn bushes or anything? Your mom, your blackberries, your mom or dad have little roses outside with thorns on them and all that stuff? You do? You don't? Not very many people in here have parents that have thorn bushes at home. We tried one for a while. My wife received one when her brother passed away, and we planted it out there. Should have seen the day somebody, Jason Clay, had a team of mules hooked to a wagon. They were going to go on some horse ride at the house, and they brought their team of mules and wagons to the house to go on this big, long horse ride, and the mule wagon ran away. I sound so hillbilly-ish. The mule wagon ran away and actually stopped a straddle of the rose bush from Mandy's brother's funeral, and I said, boys, just unhook them, because if you destroy that, my marriage is over, because it'll be my fault no matter what. So we slowly, gently stepped them out of there, and then finally Mother Nature and everything took its hand, and it doesn't survive no more. But a really cool story about a rose bush that we have. When my grandmother moved here from what's called Posey Mountain in Avoca, Arkansas in 1920-something, she brought a rose bush with her, a yellow rose bush, and planted it in the fence row, and it still grows to this day in the fence row at where my dad lives on the highway. So if you turn to come to my house in the summertime, you'll see a yellow rose bush that's about 6 to 8 feet long down the fence row that has the prettiest little yellow blooms all over it, and people actually stop and cut pieces off of it so they can take it home and plant it themselves. And if they cut it too much, I will put an electric fence around it because I want it to live forever. So anyway, how many of you have ever been stuck by a thorn bush? Those briars have been out doing something in the woods or whatever. Anybody ever got one in your finger and you just cannot get it out? I had one this year that I could not get out. Matter of fact, I had one that embedded into my leg trying to fix fence when cows got out. I sound hillbilly-ish again. And it stayed in my leg for like a year and a half. Could not get it out. And finally it made this big old knot, and I was able to work its way out. Sounds terrible, doesn't it? Yeah, it's just thorn bushes. Anybody ever stepped on a locust thorn or stuck with one of those? Yeah. Yeah, they'll make you sick. My brother stepped on one time, and I had to carry him back to the house. He got sick. With that being said, how many of you despise thorn bushes? Yes. Did you know that the reason multiflora rose bushes exist in our area is because the Boy Scouts brought them in for farmers to create them as fence? Because way back when, farmers' fences were not that good. You couldn't drive a wooden fence post in this countryside. So the Boy Scouts had this bright idea to bring all these multiflora roses in, and you could put those in the fence rows, because have you ever seen a multiflora rose bush? They're the thorns or the thorn bushes with the little bitty white blooms on them and all that, and they grow real thick. And it was designed to where it would keep cows from getting through it. Matter of fact, I can take you to a place right now that is the guy's fence. There's no wire, nothing. It's thorn bushes. It's terrible. Not all the time. Yeah. So anyway, cactus. Anybody ever been poked with a cactus? Yeah. Yes. My daughter has one, grows downstairs, has these little bitty fine hair needles on it, and it will stick you. And so with that being said, it's annoying to be stuck by a briar bush, correct? Is it? Do you look at it as it's a painful experience and you wished it would have never happened, right? Okay, we're going to look at something tonight with Paul. Paul talks about being stuck he uses a metaphor of a thorn in his verses. And so tonight we are going to be in 2 Corinthians 12, 6 through 10. I was looking for the clicker and I don't have it. So we are going to read it first. You're going to read it in the New Living Translation to start off with. And on the back end of it, I even added Eugene Peterson's the Message version. I get rocks thrown at me sometimes because people will be like, "It's not a real Bible." Well, it's not. It's used for a teaching tool. And so I tell people that are still reading the King James Bible that Paul wrote in prison to get over it. So in 2 Corinthians 6 through 10, if I wanted to boast. Does anybody find yourself boastful? Do you like to brag about yourself sometimes? Come on. You like to brag about yourself sometimes? Huh? Yeah, I'm going to go talk to some of your closest friends, and we'll see if you don't like to brag about yourself. Paul says, I would be, and all God's people said, there you go. I would be no fool in doing so, because I would be telling the truth. But I won't do it because I don't want anyone to give me credit beyond what they can see in my life or hear in my message. Even though I have received such wonderful revelations from God, so to keep me from becoming proud, I was given a thorn in my flesh, a messenger from Satan to torment me and keep me from becoming proud. 3 different times I begged the Lord to take it away. Each time he said, my grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness. Now I am glad to boast about my weakness so that the power of Christ can work through me. And this is what I really like. This is something that should make you shout. That's why I take pleasure in my weakness and the insults, hardships, and persecutions and troubles that I suffer for who? Christ. For when I am weak, then I am strong. Do you believe that? When you are weak, you are strong in Christ. Some of you are sitting there going, you don't feel very strong right now, do you? You have a bum leg, you don't like it, and you're pretty upset about it. But we're mainly going to focus on verse 7 tonight because I want you to look at what Paul is talking about. Because he used the metaphor of thorns. He's like, I got a thorn in my side. Did he really have a thorn in his side, or was he using it as a metaphor? It was a metaphor because here's the deal. If we talk about the things that are really troubling in us in our life, because people won't really, if I put on Facebook today or the Gram or Snapchat or TikTok, ask you to name off problems that other Christians or that Christians have, you would skip right over your own and name everybody else's. Do you believe that? Because why? You don't want to talk about what's wrong with you. You want to talk about what you feel like is wrong. Maybe insulting, but maybe next to your friend sitting next to you. You'll tell me more about their troubles than you will your own because it's easier to talk about them, right? How many of you just love to talk about people? Go ahead, be honest. Do you love to talk about? It's fun, isn't it? Yeah, I'm not telling you to do it, but it's fun to talk about other people. Why? Not necessarily bad, but why is it fun to talk about other people? Because it's not you, it's easy, right? It's easy to talk about the person next to you's problem because then you and whoever you're talking to can figure out the life's problem that they have. Not necessarily that have you ever talked about another friend's issue but not in a mean way? Like you feel bad for them? I mean, there's probably people talking about your foot. There's people talking about my left eye. It's okay. Because Paul knew if he named off, because he's in charge of this church called Corinth. And I've told my friend Brandon Flynn, who's the youth pastor at Corinth, you guys really need to change the name of your church. That was one messed up bunch of people. Corinth was one of the most jacked up churches in the Bible. It was really jacked up because Paul not only wrote them letters, he went and visited in person. And so Paul was thought to be the guru of his time because he wrote more books in the Bible than anybody in the New Testament. So Paul was a student of Gamaliel, and if you were a student of Gamaliel, you were a student of it'd be like, famous karate movie, name it. Karate Kid, because everybody knows that one, right? We can name off some Bruce Lee, we can name off all kinds of other martial art movies. Yeah, but we could name off Karate Kid, everybody knows that one, right? Yeah, so Paul was, what was the kid's name on Karate Kid? Daniel. Paul was Daniel, Mr. Miyagi was Gamaliel to Paul. So he was the guy who knew it all. He was the guy who trained Paul when Paul was persecuting Christians. Because Paul was one of the lead head guys, and now you have Paul being this guy who's so uber smart, and he's got to relay some stuff to this church that is trash. They are having problems. And if he named off his problem for real, would they be as inclined to follow him? If he said, I struggle with this, because Paul had issues. Paul had thorns in his side, and he talks about it in verse 7, because it sticks with you when you have these problems. Do you believe that? That your thorns stick with you? Because if you have a thorn stuck in you, how long is it there? It's there until you get it out. Okay, it's there until you get it out. And sometimes you have to dig for a long time to get that sucker out, don't you? Because sometimes the thorns that you have in your life, God needs them to stay in there for a little bit. Does that make sense? It sucks though, doesn't it? Because if we never had problems, would we even need God? Would you be here tonight? If you had no problems in your life and everything was great, if you could do every sport how you wanted to do it, be the athlete you wanted to be, if you could be the student you wanted to be, if you could be as pretty or good looking or tall or whatever as you wanted to be, would you even need God? Why do you think he designed us to where we would be dependent on him? Yeah. Why does a baby cry? They want something. They need attention. They need something fixed. They're either hungry, or sometimes babies just cry to communicate. One of the things they told us when we went through they make you go through classes before you have kids. The hospital does. They make you sit through X amount of classes, and they told us it's okay for a baby to cry, that it's healthy, it's perfectly fine. But what's our desire to do when a baby cries? We got to help them. We want to pick them up. We want to do something. A minute ago, I walked over there, scared the living thunder out of Carl and Megan's baby, and I have no idea how. I just walked in there. She looks at me every Sunday. She'll be back there in the back in the sound, or on the back row by the sound booth, and I'll be waving at her, making goofy faces at her like this. That's my goofy face. Okay, and so I will be making goofy faces at her, and I'll wave at her and all this stuff, and she smiles and giggles. I come around the sound booth tonight. Laura Jean was holding her. I stepped up in there. The kid looked at me immediately and started crying. Same reaction my wife had when we got married. All the way down the aisle, cried the whole way. And I just sitting there chewing gum like a madman. Okay, but the child starts crying, but the child had some kind of need, right? Because it's something it didn't like. I mean, it was a physically, I'm scared cry. Do I look that scary?
Yes.
Okay. To a little baby.
You want me to lie? No, you're not scary at all. Not intimidating. Never been scared of you in my whole life.
Awesome. I don't know why you would be either.
I was scared of him whenever I first came in here, but
I have no idea why. Okay, so your thorns stick with you. So we're going to stick with the metaphor thorns. Have you started to picture right now already a thorn that's in your life? Something that has figuratively stuck you and you wish it would quit. You wish it was gone, but it's still there. And so Paul says in verse 7, even though I have received such wonderful revelations from God, so to keep me from becoming proud, I was given a thorn in my flesh. Ooh, here's the hard part. A messenger from Satan to torment me and keep me from becoming proud. A messenger from Satan was sent to Paul to keep him from being proud. How do you like that? An angel is how some translations call it. Messenger, anglio, is the Greek word for messenger or angel. It's the same thing. So you have Satan's angels, because it's like Peter, which I'm going to talk about Sunday night, whenever Jesus says, hey, just so you know, Satan has asked if he can sift you, because they would talk about sifting wheat. And he's like, Satan's asked if he could sift you. And Peter's like, awesome. He's like, I got it. It's no big deal. I can do this. And Jesus tells him, when he's done with you, come back and tell others so they too can grow in their spiritual walk. That's the DLT, the Doug Living translation of that. How excited would you be if Jesus walks in tonight and goes, hey, Satan has asked to sift you. Your first reaction just hearing that. Super. I'm out. No, super. Yeah. And he says, and he doesn't give Peter an option. He just says, when he's done, make sure and do this, this, and this. But if Jesus says the words, when he's done, do this, this, and this, what does it lead you to believe? That you're going to get through it. Good answer. Good job. That you survived what the devil's going to put you through. Right now, you have this metaphor in your mind of a thorn. You want you to just put the picture of needles wrapped around whatever it is you wish would stop getting in your way, stop bothering you. And that is the thorn that God has allowed to be in your life. And he says it because he says, a messenger from Satan has come to keep me from being proud. When you go through life, you're going to deal with all kinds of stuff. Our refrigerator quit this week. Wife's car needs new tires. I bought fertilizer for the farm because it had to be done. What did everything take? Money. Some of it we ain't done yet because we don't have the money. We're going refrigerator shopping tomorrow night because she got paid. And sometimes you will have financial thorns stick you in the side, and it can put a strain on your marriage if you let it. I'm telling you things now, so when you find Mr. Right or Wrong, you will not. You will know how to attack these things. You'll know that these are things that are put in your life. What if I had a lot of money? Do you think I'd be here? If you'd have met 20-year-old me, you'd know. No. There's a guy that I met a couple years ago speaking at an event in Phoenix, Arizona, that saw me speak, and I sat at his table, and he goes, hey, I want to talk to you. And I said, okay. He goes, my name is Eric White, and I'm an optometrist. And I said, yeah, I'm blind in my left eye. And he goes, exactly, that's why I want to talk to you. He said, I feel like God has put you at my table because we are working on a project, and I want you to be a part of it. Because I found out what your job is, and we want to do something through you. You ever seen Iron Man? You ever seen the glasses that Tony Stark wears? And they'll do all this stuff? He's designing these, and he wants me to wear them. He tells me that what this is going to do for me financially, and I've actually got to sit through several phone calls with him and the guy who created Wi-Fi. That's crazy. I got to meet the guy that created Wi-Fi. They're supposed to fly me to Vegas in a few months to meet with them and do all this stuff, and he's telling me all these things, and I'm from Missouri. And does everybody know what Missouri's slogan is? Show me. I'm just sitting there going, yeah, I'm going to leave this event and you're going to forget about me. No, dude calls me every month. How much would you love to be out of like financial debt? How much would you love for your parents to be out of some kind of financial debt? How would you love to have what would you do if you had all the money you wanted? You don't know. You were going to what? Spend it on gas. Yes, we know where we are. We're in the, gas. Got to get a loan out to get gas. So, what would you say is a thorn right now that's in a teenager's side? Teenager's size, thorns that are sticking Christian teenagers today to help. We're talking about spiritual things that can get you to focus away from God. What is some things right now that you can think of that are spiritual thorns poking teenage Christians today? We're not talking about the lost. We're talking about you. Doubt of what? Just that anything will come through. And usually we doubt because of past disappointments. Okay. Yes, one of them said that up here. Yep. Anxiety. What are you anxious for? Expectations. How many of you you don't have to raise your hand, but right now just thinking of expectations your parents have for you that you're just worried you can't fulfill. And the closer you get to graduation, the closer you'll get to that, to where you start going, I remember going to college, and I'm sitting there going, I have no idea what I want to do. I had no clue. I had no idea what degree. I just got a general studies when I started. I thought, okay, first semester, something will happen. I'll feel like this is what I want to do with my life. And it was nothing. So if you are sitting there right now wondering what you want to do with the rest of your life and you have no idea, don't worry, you'll still make it. I'm still breathing, kicking. I have a degree in animal science. Am I doing that? Anything with that? No. Crazy. Went and got a degree just to get a degree. Because I had a friend that got an animal science degree, so I thought I would too. Stupid reason, right? Absolutely. Be more focused than me. Expectations is a huge thorn sticking in your side. What others think. Where you feel like you fit in. If I could go on, if I could interview all your friends, they would give me some kind of thorn that you have that you just wish you could just pull out. But we don't. We still have it. And so we have to deal with it. And how many of you feel like the thorn that's in your life right now is a messenger from Satan? Okay? And they may be sitting next to you. Don't look. Eyes towards me. Okay? Don't look at the person next to you and go, yeah, you're my thorn. Okay? Because I still love you and we hang out together, but stop texting me. Okay. Nobody in here feels that way about each other. But if I told you it was a gift, would you believe me? Would you believe it's a gift? I hope so. It says in verse 8, 3 different times I begged the Lord to take it away. And each time he said, my grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness. So now I am glad to boast about my weakness so that the power of Christ can work through me. Because in your thorn that you're having, who's ultimately trying to work? Who's trying to work in your situation that you don't like? Satan's trying to work, absolutely. I'll give you that. But who else? Somebody said his name. God. It's a big G word, okay? How many of you feel like God is working? How do you feel like God's working through your foot? Are you still trying to see it? Like, God, I don't know why this happened to me. Because how many of you is getting that spot? I don't know why this is happening to me. Because a lot of you are sitting there tonight and you're thinking about something right now. Or some of you are thinking about what you're going to eat when you leave here. But some of you are seriously thinking about, this is what's happening. I don't like it, and it don't feel like a gift. When Joe put his foot in the corner of my eye and kicked it out, and I caught it and stuck it back in, when the doctor told me after the surgery, for 3 hours afterwards, I would pray for death. He said, it hurts that bad, and there's nothing I can do about it. He said, but give it 3 hours. 3 hours, I sat in my recliner just gripping the chairs. It hurt bad. And 3 hours later, it just left like a ghost. But how great do you think my prayer time was, those 3 hours? God, take it away. Paul was doing the same thing. 3 times, Paul asked for it to take it away. Some theologians believe that Paul struggled with his eyesight because of the day. Remember the story of Saul riding on his little pony, heading down the trail, the dusty trail, and all of a sudden God shows up, and Paul does what? He falls off his high horse. And Jesus shows up and says, I'm the guy you're persecuting. I'm your boss now. Some people think that it's residual effects from, because Paul had poor eyesight. You could read that in different letters that he writes in the Bible. One of them he says, I write these in bigger letters because we knew it was Paul writing it because he had to write so big to be able to see it. A lot of times he had scribes because his hands were so crippled from his beatings that he couldn't write. This is a man who's been beaten. He's half blind. He can't see nothing. And yet he's going, I prayed for God to take it away, but it didn't go away. It's still here. I'm still dealing with it. So a lot of theologians believe that Paul suffered with his eyesight as something to remind him daily that he cannot get too proud of himself because God saw him in his position where he was considered to be a man of God, but he was killing Christians because they were following Jesus. And God shows up. Actually, Jesus shows up. It says the Bible says Jesus shows up, knocks him off, blinds him. He's blind, tells him where to go, and his eyesight was restored because he did what Jesus told him to do. And sometimes Jesus is just waiting on you to start doing what he's told you to do for that thorn to be picked out. How many times do you think I prayed for God to restore the vision in my left eye? I can't tell you how many times. I sat there as a kid. Just do your thing, God. Just here, I'll close my eye this long. Just when I wake up in the morning, God, help my eyesight to be restored. And I'd wake up every morning with the same issue. just a thorn. But I've been able to use it to talk to other people who have lost an eye, who have lost vision, who have been crippled somehow. I've had both my shoulders ripped out of socket before, not knowing why I had to go through this and sit still with my arm tied to me like this for 6 weeks. Sucks having to have people help you put your clothes on. It's humiliating, especially when you're a grown man and you're trying to figure out how to do all this stuff yourself when you're a type A personality like me that does it myself. I don't need anybody's help. Some of you are thinking, why did God put me in the house that I'm in? Why did I have to go through 17 years of this or 13, however old you are? Some of you are in a house right now that is utter chaos and you don't know why. Some of you are like, God, I don't know why my parents divorced. It's a thorn that's stuck in my side because I got feelings that I still haven't been able to bury. Some of you got a friend that's betrayed you somehow that you just can't get over. And you have no idea why, and you're trying to figure out why you have this thorn of mistrust. And we talked about you just have doubt in people anymore. And you have no idea. But tonight is the night where God is going, I want to tell you why. It's a gift. I know it don't feel like it, but it's a gift. Because someone down the road needs you to have experienced this so you can understand them, to help them see that God is working, that he's real. A lot of you in this room have had your heart broke by some boy, some girl, maybe an adult that has let you down, whether it be a parent, a teacher, a close friend. If we kept going, I could hit you somehow. Tonight's the night to say, God, I thank you for that thorn. I thank you for this position I'm in right now, because my prayer life was a whole lot better. My Bible reading was a whole lot better when I was stuck in a chair and couldn't get up and do anything. Doesn't sound fun though, does it? Because you wish you were up doing the things you were always doing. But sometimes God needs us to slow down. He needs us to be able to see him working. Some of you fixing to graduate and you need to take a breath. Because God's like, you got a million things running through your head. And if you truly believe I'm the God of tomorrow as well, you'll stop worrying about it. Easier said than done though, isn't it? Absolutely. And he goes on and he says in the Message version, my shoe's untied, it's driving me crazy. The Message version, it breaks it down so you can understand Paul's words a little bit better. It says, verse 7, it says, I'm going to start off there. It says, because of the extravagance of those revelations, and so I wouldn't get a big head, I was given the gift of a handicap to keep me in constant touch with my limitations. Satan angels did his best to get me down. What he in fact did was push me to my knees. You know what it means when it says he pushed me to my knees? Does it mean that he was beaten? Or what does it mean when Paul says he pushed me to my knees? What's the figurative of prayer? You are on your knees. What the enemy thinks is defeat to us is actually when we start to gain our power, when we start to get on our knees, when we start to pray and talk to him. No danger than walking around high and mighty. At first I did not think of it as a gift and begged God to remove it. 3 times, if you have King James it says thrice. 3 times I did that. And then he told me, my grace is enough. It's all you need. My strength comes into its own in your weakness. Once I heard that, I was glad to let it happen. I quit focusing on the handicap and began appreciating the gift. It was a case of Christ's strength moving in my weakness. Now I take limitations in stride. And with good cheer, these limitations that cut me down to size, abuse, accidents, opposition, bad breaks, I just let Christ take over. And so the weaker I get, the stronger I become. Do you believe that? That the weaker you get, the stronger Jesus becomes in your life? I can tell you about Korean missionaries, they were being held by the Taliban. Some of them have been dipped in tar and they were burning. Some of them still in the shack. My unit didn't make it there in time to save those that was burning. But those who were in the shack still left. Said their connection with God was like nothing they'd ever experienced. And sometimes they miss that. Is that weird to wish you could go back to that kind of prayer life, but it takes that kind of tragedy in your life for you to be able to have that kind of prayer life? This is what goes through my head sometimes when people show back up to church that hadn't been in church for a long time. This is what I wonder. Wow, I wonder what happened. Because usually what's it take to drive people back to God? Tragedy. I said that this week. I'm talking about people, okay? Somebody showed up I hadn't seen in a long time, and I'm in my head. I went, man, I wonder what happened. Because that's how we think. Couldn't be that they just decided, we've been missing church for a while, we'll go back to church. But in my mind, I just wondered what happened. It's kind of like when people have a joint Facebook account all of a sudden. You just wonder what happened. In 2 Corinthians 12, 7 through 10, I did give you the Message version. It says, Paul says, once I heard that, I was glad to let it happen. I quit focusing on the handicap and became appreciating the gift. Can you see what's poking you tonight and appreciate it as a gift? Or are you still dwelling on it? Are you still letting Satan angels have their victory? Because some of you are wishing that things would quit. And I'm not here to give you a message tonight that makes you feel defeated. You should feel like you have some power over something because God has given you a gift. Some of you, that's been years worth of crap that you wish would not have happened. But God has given you a gift. I think of your story that went out this year. Didn't feel like a gift in the moment, did it? No. But how many teenagers are going to see that or already have this summer and they're going to realize they can make it? Because you know what the leading cause of suicide is? People feel like they have no hope. It's not depression, it's not anxiety, it's hopelessness that makes people move that way. I think I found it whenever it should be in there, but I think I put the wrong verses at the top. It says when Jesus was talking to Peter, it's in Luke, it says, Simon, Simon, Satan has asked to sift each of you like wheat, but I have pleaded in prayer for you, Simon, that your faith should not fail. So when you have repented and turned to me again, strengthen your brothers. Some of you, when he says repented, when you have repented, turn to me and strengthen your brothers. If you had to repent, it means you did what? Yeah, which is sin. This is right before Peter denied Jesus 3 times. Because Jesus knew Peter was going to do that. He knew that Satan was going to show up and talk Peter into denying Jesus 3 times. The strongest, the biggest man walking. Peter was described, whenever they started to really realize Peter's strength, if you read whenever Jesus is standing on the shore, after the disciples had went back to doing what they knew to do after Jesus had been crucified, they'd seen him. Jesus went and did his walk on the earth. And we remember what the disciples were doing right before Jesus met them and ascended into heaven? They were doing what? They're fishing. And so you have this figure standing on